Hello, beautiful people. This is Asa Leveaux, your divinely queer host of the EntreQueerNeur Show with Asa Leveaux. If you have absolutely no earthly idea what this is all about, I will tell you. So the EntreQueerNeur Show, or what EntreQueerNeur even means, is the intersection of sexuality and business, or more importantly, entrepreneurship. So the reason why I started this is because I desired to help LGBTQ entrepreneurs create their first $10,000 in business, but I wanted to do that in an authentic way, a way that we could talk about sales and marketing and landing pages and ads and budgets, and still talk about pose, and still talk about the date you had, or the fact that I was a go-go dancer in a previous life many moons ago. So I desired a space that looked like that, sounded like that, felt like that, and it seems, as more I talked about it, that others wanted it as well. So that's how the EntreQueerNeur term came about, as well as the EntreQueerNeur Show, which you are a co-creator in this right now moment. Now, something that I just talked to you about was what I do for a living. What I do is help LGBTQ entrepreneurs create their first $10,000 in business authentically. Though, of course, we got the LGBTQIA plus thing down. We very clear about who we're going after. Very clear about the business aspect. Very clear about the benchmark of the $10,000. But what about that authentic piece? What does that even look like? Some of us, depending on where we grew up, where we live now, the age we are, what we've experienced in life, maybe even the religious background we come from, that authenticness looks so different for each person. Sometimes we stifle our authenticity with respectability. Sometimes we stifle it with something called modesty. And if you're not modest, then you are no earthly good in some people's eyes. We want to know, what does it really mean to be authentic? Does that mean telling everybody who you've been sleeping with? Is that authentic? Is authentic, only saying certain things to certain people? So, one of the people that I have been attached to, associated with, loved by, that has really caused me to consider what that really looks like, not just for others, not just for this human, but also for me, is someone that I think you guys are going to enjoy. I really do. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you guys Leo Brown. Hello, and how are you?
I'm wonderful, Asa. How are you?
I am great. For those of you who have no idea who you are, the first things first, could you let them know what pronouns you use and how you identify?
Yes. I am a gay man, and I am, I don't know, is it cisgender? Yes, I'm a cisgender gay man, and the pronouns I use are he, him, his. Let's see. And what I do, I'm a psychic medium, I'm a life coach, and a motivational speaker and author.
Got it. So those are the things that you are. Just for those people, now I already know the answer to this, but I want you to tell them what makes you magical.
Wow, that's a great question. I would say what makes me magical is just me being comfortable and me being able to be me, and to own all of who I am for the first time in my life. The good parts, the bad parts, the ugly parts, the indifferent parts, the angry parts. You know what I mean? To be able to play with my demons and be like, okay, sit over there, play with the ball, and not feel as if I have to be someone else. Because for a long time, I felt as if I had to wear a mask. And now I don't feel that way. Now, every day, the mask is falling off, and I make sure that I, practice that, not only in life, but just in general. And I think just being able to say, I like who I am, all parts of who I am, is what makes me magical.
So what had you, because that intrigued me, this mask thing, what made you feel you even had to put a mask on anyway?
Well, often in business, Asa, and you know this in a sense, often in business we have to be professional. And you have to watch how you talk, you have to watch how you walk, you have to watch, the cadence in your speech. You have to be always very, well-groomed and pressed. And I'm not saying that you need to look like you rolled out of bed. But I think in business, you have to present a side of you that is almost like they can want you, but they can never have you. And what I've learned is to balance the two. To show, like, yes, I'm a human being, but I'm also a professional person who really does love to help and empower others to live a more fantastic, magical, fabulous life. But I will also say, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes too. And, I think being able to relate that and take the mask off, or, if drag queens, they take the wig off and just be like, listen, I'm not always this together, but together, if you choose to work with me and I work with you, we'll reveal some things about each other. And, we will walk away from this knowing, like, okay, I don't always have to be nice. I don't always have to be on my P's and Q's. I can make a mistake and no one will care. Because when I walk in a room, my energy alone tells you that I own it.
Got it. So I'm always thinking about the person that's, the third participant in this conversation. Yes, you, the person that's listening to us right now. And there's a possibility that they're listening to our conversation as a third party, and they may feel as though everybody don't need to know everything.
Well,
so how do you is divulging everything the same thing as authenticity?
Yes and no. To me, authenticity, and this is why I say yes. Authenticity means that if you so choose, you can divulge everything. But no, because in that you choose, there are certain things you choose not to tell, not to divulge. And I think in that, that's actually normal to have a sense of privacy, a sense of like, okay, well, that's a part of me that I'm not going to reveal yet. You will see it, just not today. You see? So I think we live in a world now where everybody feels they have to put everything on Front Street. No, you don't. To be authentic, you don't have to put everything out there. But I kind of equate it to being a stripper. You give them just enough, and you leave them wanting more. And then as time goes on, you reveal more and more and more and more until they're like, wow, there's nothing more to see. I've seen everything. Because let's be honest, we're multi-layered, we're multifaceted people, we're multidimensional people. We live in a multidimensional world. So I think that, no, you don't have to divulge everything at the first gate. Like if you met me, and you didn't know me, and you sat down and said, okay, I want to hear your whole story. I would never tell you from birth to 38 everything that happened. I would tell you in snippets. And over time, as you got to know me, I'd reveal more and more and more. But even in that, you have to have a sense of security and of trust. Because you have to be mindful of whom you reveal your information to. Because not everybody wants to see you win.
Okay, so you just touched on a part that I didn't think you're gonna go. Because I was gonna go somewhere else, and then you said because not everybody wants to see you win. Do we do things because of those people, or are we doing things because of the people who do want to see us win?
Okay. Look at you coming with these questions. All right. Okay. See, even in that, I think it's a mix of both. I do. I think it's a mix of both. I think a big part of you wants to do it. Like, you do what you do for the people that support you. You show up, you show out for those that you know, even if they're not around you physically, whether it be your family, whether it be your friends, for those that you know want to see you succeed and grow and do more. But then at the same time, you also, show up and show out for those that don't. Because I think more so in that, you're not trying to prove it to them, but more so to yourself that you can do it. Whatever it is you set out to do, whether it's owning a business, whether it's learning how to cook, whether it's learning how to commit to a relationship, not just an intimate one, but even friendships. Learning to be more present, learning to be more vulnerable. You show up because you're like, okay, I know people are supporting me, but at the same time, I have to do this for me. Because at the end of the day, when I lay down at night, I want to be comfortable and authentic with myself and know that what I brought to the table was me and it wasn't a carbon copy of someone else.
Right. So a question I have for you then is, have you always been this audacious in your authenticity, or is this something you've had to learn to grow into?
Okay.
Because being a psychic medium, you helping people as a life coach, you being an author, all of those things look like a high level of vulnerability, a high level of allowing people to have insight into your life that everybody usually doesn't offer to individuals on a continuous basis. So did you learn that, or have you just been that way from the beginning?
No, honey, I'm still learning that.
Okay.
I'm still learning to reveal myself and be vulnerable and be present, not only with the people that I, work with and with the things I do, but most importantly with myself. That's a process. That's a lifelong process to me. And what I learned in the beginning as I was honing my psychic gifts, and even as a life coach, what I learned, which was a way of being vulnerable, was being relatable. Relatability. Learning how to relate to people's issues, even if they weren't mine. But saying, you know what, I can relate to this because I went through A, B, C, and D. And granted, it may not be what you're going through right now, but here's how you and I have a lot more in common than you think. So, no, I'm still learning that. And I think that's why now I stress it. I stress the importance of being authentic and being real and being open and honest. And when I say that, I'm actually saying that for myself, as well as the people I work with and the people that seek me out. Because I realize if I can't come to the table being real and raw and showing you, like, listen here, I'm just like you. I like to eat bad foods. I don't always exercise. I'm not perfect. I'm a horrible speller. I don't get everything right. I can be a little overzealous. I can be very emotional at times. I can believe in my own hype. I'm just like you. So I feel that if I can't show that, then what the person may need or may want from me as a life coach, as a psychic, as a medium, and even as an author and speaker, they may not, what they need, they may not be able to get because my copy isn't clear to them. What I'm giving them isn't clear, so it's blurred. You know what I mean? And my thing is, if I'm out here delivering a message of empowerment, and energy is mine, and the life is yours, and you fabulous. If I'm doing all that, then I should walk my talk as best I can.
That makes sense. But now that you said that, this has been an ongoing thing, even in, all the different facets of who you are, I gotta ask this, because I read the book, Honey, I'm Fabulous and So Are You, A Psychic Journey of Love, Life, and Empowerment. So how do you see your authenticity or relatability then as it's compared to now?
Woo! Baby. I think then, I'm just going to be honest, I think then I wrote what I felt. I'm going to be very honest. It was a very emotional book, and it was cathartic. And I'm glad I did it. And did I mean what I said when I said it? Yes. But do I feel the same way? No, because I'm in a different place. I'm a different person. And at that time, I don't knock my first book. And for those of you that want to get it, you can purchase it. It's available everywhere. It's on Kindle. Go get some sales for it, brother. But I don't knock it. But it could have been better. It could have been more fleshed out. It wasn't bad. Okay. But I guess the difference is now I'm more willing to tell not only the truth, but the total, the warts, like everything. And there's no stone unturned about me. Like, they'll be like, well, you know how people do, well, back in the day, Leo Brown was a little bit of a hoe. Well, yes, I was. And if you go on page 232, you'll see pictures, and you'll even read the list of men I slept with. I'm at that point where I'm like, I have nothing to hide, number one, and I have nothing to prove to anyone but myself. I am my greatest competition. I'm not competing with anybody out here. I love everybody because I feel like, well, I shouldn't say I love everybody, but I don't have anything against anyone because my thing is there's enough people out here that need what we do, and there's enough money out here. We can do what we need to do. We're all put on this earth to do something of value, whether that be being a friend, whether that be just cooking a good meal for somebody, whether that be making someone laugh. We all bring an impact, and we all empower in some way, whether it's big or small. So for me now, I guess the difference is I'm a lot more ready to tell my truth in a more honest, in a more transparent way. And I'm not saying that I wasn't honest in the book. I was. But I think at the time, you know how this is. You've written books. When you write your first book, you want to be so, you want to be so on point. You want to hit them with the knowledge or hit them with whatever you're trying to tell, that your voice gets lost. And to me, in that particular book, my voice got lost. And this time around, I am at a point where I'm ready to show my whole voice in the many colors of it, because I think that as you get older, you become more aware of who you are. And at the time when I wrote that book, I wasn't in the best places when I wrote the book emotionally. I'll just tell you, I was not. And I was more, and I'm just going to be very transparent and honest, I was more like, well, I'm going to be an author. Yes, honey, an author. I was more about that than I was about, okay, but what about the story? Tell the truth. If you're going to tell it all. And I think, to me, I left a lot to be desired. And this time around, I am working on another book, a sequel actually to that book, I am going to tell it all because I feel like, why not? And my thing is, I'm like, you can't sue me because what I'm telling you is true. It's like, well, you did say that, so and even with me, I was like, well, I did do that. I did, I went down on the man in the bar. I was a little drunk. He was hot, and I was a little horny, a little desperate, so I did what I had to do. Got us some free beers, but I did it. So I just want to be able to say that. And to me, that's what being authentic means. I'm not saying that everybody should do that, because I think authenticity is a process. I kind of equate it to coming out. Coming out is a process. You don't come out overnight and everything's fine. Right. Coming out takes time. It takes years. And you come out over and over and over again. But who is the first person you come out to? Before your parents, before anybody else, you come out to yourself.
Exactly. So, I like everything you said so far.
Thank you.
Because I'm looking for the dissonance. I enjoy dissonance. I enjoy the part that doesn't feel good to me.
Okay.
And because my thing is just because everything doesn't have to be deemed valuable only if you agree.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, if a lot of times there's a lot of disagreement and dissonance in my own life about my level of vulnerability, quote unquote authenticity. And I say quote unquote because some people call it that and some people call it something else. So for instance, I made a post, I believe it was last week, about my journey with PrEP and having an HIV scare and all of those things. And for some people that looks like being brave and courageous and authentic, and sometimes that to other people that looks like you're telling too much of your business and you need to go have a seat. Is there something on the inside? Like, what is that thing that only you know that determines if this really is authenticity coming out, or if this is you doing things for clout?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, I think first of all, there's a fine line. Let's just keep it real. There's a fine line between being authentic and then you doing stuff for views and clicks and likes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can give you a really good example. So, for those of you who follow me on social media, I do every Thursday, I do a thing called Thirst Trap Thursday. And I showcase men of color. I showcase all just types of men, because I would never apologize for me being a gay man. But I showcase them in various states of undress. And some people have come to me privately and have come to me via social media and have said, well, why you got all these naked men on your page? Aren't you a psychic? Why you got these men with showing their asses and stuff? And one of the main reasons why I do that, and I have done it, is because often, and you and I both know this to be true, often gay men we're sexualized on one hand, right? Like we're given a medal. It's like, oh my God, you a hoe and you took all kinds of penis and you did a gangbang. Good for you. You just doing it. And then on the other hand, we're made to feel like we have the letter A on our test for being sexual or for liking our bodies. You know, and I think with men of color, whether they be black men, Latino, Asian, that's especially true. Because then you have to go into the whole thing with spirituality and all that kind of stuff. Well, with religion, I'm not going to say spirituality, but with all that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, the racism and internalized homophobia that is in the gay community itself. So it's like, what do? So I'm like, I'm going to take that power back. And I'm not doing this for clout, but I'm doing this to show, listen, men need to know, especially in this day and age, with what's going on in the world. And like I said, you want to learn something, get away from Twitter and Instagram and all that and read. You know what I mean? Look at the news. Read books, people. They're out there. But, I'm like, no, I want to change that. I want to show that we're beautiful. And that, yes, a part of beauty is sexuality. A part of wellness. That's a huge part of wellness is your sexuality. I'm not saying that you need to be out here fucking everything you see, but even if you choose to do that, that's your decision.
Because can we both just go ahead and be totally honest? There has been some real good healing and growth being next to somebody.
I'm just saying, and I mean, and you get the best healing in the world when you get an orgasm. I'm just saying. That's why they call the orgasm a little death. So, yes, I think that's important. And I think especially as we get older, because a lot of gay men, bisexual men, a lot of us fall into this trap. I've seen it. Oh, I'm 30. Oh, I'm 35. Oh, I'm 40. Lord, I'm 50. Oh, it's over. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's just different. It's just different, baby. You ain't 16 no more. You ain't 18 no more. You're not 22. And you should be okay with that. But it does not mean you have to let yourself go. Whether it be your mental health, whether it be your physical health. I'm not saying you need to look like an Adonis. No, you don't. But, keep yourself up emotionally. Be around good people. Mentally, go see a therapist. Physically, try to eat better. You know what I mean? Try to keep it together. Keep it tight. Keep it together as best you can. For you, not for somebody else. Because oftentimes with us, we do things for other people. And this is true in heterosexual community too. But we do that for other folks. As human beings, we try to impress. It's called peacocking. We all do it. Everyone does it. But you have to come to a point where you're like, you know what? I do this for me. Because ultimately, when I lay down and when I get older, I want to look okay. I know I'm going to be old, but I want to look good. I want to be able to fit my clothes and have energy to walk around and be vital and be active as best I can. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. But let me have some form of vitality for myself. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So I'm going to ask a question about a source that I saw about authenticity. Preparing for the conversation I was having with you today, I saw an article on Psychology Today, and it discusses the 7 qualities of truly authentic people. And I have, I don't know if it's an issue, I don't know if it's a challenge, I don't even know if it's a disagreement with number 1. Number 1 says they have a realistic perception of reality. I'll concede and ask what your thoughts are about that, and then I'll offer my own. So, as it relates to authenticity, do you feel that a factor is having a realistic perception of reality?
I wouldn't say realistic. I would say balanced. Because there's nothing wrong with you being optimistic. There's nothing wrong with you being a realist. But I also think it's like, okay, how do I say it? It's like eating too much. There's nothing wrong with you eating, but don't eat too much. There's nothing wrong with you eating, but don't eat too little. As long as there's a nice balancing act. To me, that's what to me is a quality that I look for in an authentic person. They can be optimistic, but at the same time, they can also be realistic too and say, okay, this may sound kind of, I may be a little bit of a negative Nancy here, but here's my thing. Here's what I'm thinking. Or, here's what I see realistically that may happen. But then at the same time can say, well, if this does happen, here's the silver lining in this. So to me, it's about being balanced. It's not necessarily about being realistic or optimistic. I think you need to be a good mix of both, to me.
Okay. The way that I see it for that is I no longer believe in the thought that anything has to be quote unquote realistic. I don't believe in realistic anymore. The reason why I say that is because everything that is currently real in our lives, so you, myself, the divine individual that's listening to us right now, all of us are looking around us. That may be a car, that may be a room, that may be outside, wherever we are, when we look around and we see things, we are literally staring and viewing things that once only resided in someone's imagination.
Okay, I can see that. Actually.
So, once upon a time, the very things that are real right now and realistic were not actually ever real.
That's true.
And if we were confined by what was realistic and what wasn't, the very things that we are looking at right now would likely not exist.
Okay, see, I see where you're going with this. It actually is making me think about the philosophers and painters like Leonardo Da Vinci, the inventors like George Washington Carver. They had you didn't have the Sistine. No, that was Degas. I'm sorry. You didn't have the Michelangelo, and Da Vinci was like, wait, I think I want to create something. And I'm pretty sure he didn't know, off the top what it was going to become. But eventually it became what it became. I kind of equate life, and this is going to sound so bad because I'm a bit of a foodie. So for all the listeners out there, I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you hungry, but here it goes. So I kind of equate life like a recipe. When you first make it, it doesn't turn out as well. Then as time goes on, you add more things. You may add, a different kind of sauce. You might add a different kind of vegetable or a different kind of meat or no meat at all. You know what I mean? And then it becomes something that people want. That people are like, oh my God, I want this. It becomes popular. Like macaroni and cheese. I'm pretty sure macaroni and cheese didn't come out as macaroni and cheese like it is now. But look at it now. Look at all the varieties we have of it. You have crab macaroni and cheese, lobster and mac and cheese, blue cheese. You know what I mean? So you have all these different varieties that we probably never even thought of. So I get what you're saying in that in the beginning, it wasn't just here. Somebody had to think of it in order to create it. And I think where you're going with that is that we create our own narratives, whether they be positive or negative. And that is true. I do agree with that to a certain point. That's very true.
Gotcha. And I just wanted to bring that up because, that first idea, and it may be the reason why I'm questioning so many things right now. Just I really am in a state of questioning that I've never had before, and I believe that sometimes authenticity isn't always the delivering of what is, but it's also about where you are in the consideration of a possibility. So just even if we just take the queerness of it all, the fact that, oh my God, I could be gay, I could be pan, I could be a lesbian. Like, am I even going to allow myself to be authentic with someone or some people to allow that authenticity of me out? Because it's not necessarily real, it's not necessarily concrete, it's a possibility that I'm considering right now, that I'm playing with. So there's also that part. And so it's not always just the telling of what is concrete, but it's also the possible sharing of what may be.
That's true, and also to go into another point, because people change. And that's kind of what I was saying when you asked me about the book. Because I realized, and I've read my book many times, and I'm like, okay, this was good, but I am not the same person. Like, I look at the cover of the book, I'm like, I don't even recognize myself. I'm like, that's not me anymore. I'm not that, you know what I mean? Like, so what you're saying is absolutely true. Because we grow, we change, and we're supposed to. That's what a lot of us, I think, don't understand. Just like with what's going on in the world now with, Miss Corona. And, and everything going on with different cities and states and things. The world is changing because it has to. We need a reset. We don't want to hear it, but for those of us who are aware of it, we got to have a reset button. And right now, we may not like what's going on. You don't have to like change. No one's telling you to like it. But you have to learn to embrace it. Because it's going to happen whether you want it to or not.
Right. And I've even realized that even dead things change.
Yeah. Nothing is meant to be the same. Because if it was, I mean, we'd all be still children. We're not meant to be, you know what I mean? We're meant to grow old. We're meant to, our bodies are meant to eventually, we're meant to leave our bodies eventually. That's a fact of life. And even I've had to realize that because I recently had a health scare, not for me, but with my mother. And my mother and I we've had a very complicated relationship for many years. And now we're getting better. We're a lot better than where we were. But, and that's a whole nother show, trust me. But But when I found out that she might have been sick, the possibility of her health care, it really broke me down because it made me understand you have to deal with not only the idea of mortality, but you have to deal with the idea that you may have to take care of her.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And for me, I'm like, well, no, she don't need me, da-da-da-da-da. I'm thinking my mother's still 35. No, your mother, you know what I mean? Your mother's aging. She's not old, but she's aging. And I'm realizing that. And now the roles are starting to reverse. You see? Where I'm not treating her like a child, but I am doting over her. Like, well, Mom, are you eating? Are you doing this? Are you exercising? To let her know, I want you around for as long as you possibly can be here.
Right.
Yeah.
Indeed. So one of the last questions that I have for you is about how you serve people within your life coaching capacity. So as someone who is a coach, but I am definitely not a life coach, that's not how I do myself. How important is authenticity to the breakthroughs of your clients?
Ooh, that's a great question. You batting a thousand with these questions. You just came in both barrels. Not saying that he doesn't ask great questions. He does. But I think it's very important. I think it's more so important on my end for me to be authentic with them, because I honestly believe that when a person comes to me for coaching, they want me to be authentic with them, because then what happens is it allows them to open up to me. And they can then become authentic with themselves. So authenticity is paramount. Because my thing is, if we can't get our nails dirty and tell each other the right gut truth, and I can't throw water in your face and tell you to be quiet, then you're not gonna grow or get to the goals that you want to achieve within yourself. Whether that be life goals, career goals, emotional goals, whatever. You have to be able to tell yourself the truth. Because like I tell people, I don't have a dog in this fight. Okay? I'm just the mediator. I'm telling you what you need to know. Same way when I do readings. When I give people readings, I'm not out here, well, I'm so invested. No. This ain't about me, honey. This is about you. So, what do you want me to? You want to do the work? And if you don't, I can pack my stuff up and leave. But if you do, let's go to work. But you have to do it. You are, because this is your moment, and you are in the driver's seat. I'm just a passenger, giving you direction.
Got it. So the last question I have for you, the very last one. I am not. No, rephrase. Let me rephrase it. I am continually considering that someone's life could be saved by anything that I create.
Okay.
And let's just say that there is a little black boy somewhere out there in the ether existing, doing their little best to exist and be authentic. And let's say they look a lot like the 13-year-old boy you were. What would you say to that 13-year-old boy to make him feel and know that authenticity won't kill him?
I honestly would say, first of all, it's going to be okay. And that you're not as crazy as you think you are. And just because you come from crazy doesn't mean you have to inhabit crazy. Okay? And I would also say, don't worry so much and get out of your own way. And right now, you're not going to learn it because you're so young. But as you get older, and as life comes in and gives you a 1-2 punch sometimes and throws some curveballs, you will learn to allow life to walk with you, not against you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say. And I say that to all the young boys and girls and everyone in between, that it really is going to be okay. Right now, a lot of us are very scared. A lot of us are unsure. A lot of us are angry. And we have every reason to be. But don't hold back on how you feel. But just know that it's not going to always be this way. And take some time, if you can, to get out of your own head. Whether that be writing, journaling, whether it be talking to a friend, whatever you can do to make this thing called life easier. Do it.
Indeed. Make your life easier. With that being said, I am definitely going to end this. It has been a pleasure having you on. Thank you for sharing time and space in a co-creative capacity. And for those who are listening, thank you for joining in as well. This would be nothing that I wanted to be without you as well. So with that being said, I am Asa Leveaux, dreams and blessings.